Hello, people of the internet. It is I, a nerd named BT, once again back behind a microphone in another YouTube video. Today, guys, I have some very exciting news. We have just been announced the July 1st, 2023 Rush Duel BanList update. Yay! So, as everyone knows, we have been in dire need waiting for a new BanList update, as it has been a very difficult couple of months, especially in Rush Duel, with XQD being the extreme powerhouse that it is. So let's just get past the formalities and get straight into the ban list. Our first card on the list is XQD Lilis. Now Lilius is a level 6 fiend with 2500 attack, 500 defense. The very common thing you'll be seeing in executing cards, 500 defense. So this card doesn't really have an effect. It simply has the ability to special summon itself. If you have a face-up level 6 monster 500 defense on your field, you special summon this card from your hand, with a continuous effect of your level 7 or higher monsters cannot attack, at the cost of nothing, because that is just a downside. It's a very simplistic card with no real advantage effect besides being able to special summon itself. So the reason why this would be put down to 1 is because it's just a big beater that can deal a lot of damage, and when you're at most subtracting around 300 attack and defense from your opponent's monsters with your other XQD's effects, this is just the main way that you get over those big bodies and deal the extra amount of damage, especially when you activate Dark Hole. You can easily summon this, get in a large sum of damage. So this going down to 1, though it is not a starter of the deck, it is a pretty detrimental hit, especially since now that they have very fewer options to remove monsters, though they do still have Lumiere, which is able to spin back a card along with some other options, but them losing their primary source of damage definitely hits the deck a significant amount. The next limited card is XQD Scramble, another direct hit to XQD. It is a normal spell card with requirement none. You can probably see the theme behind some of these cards. With the effect, special summon one level 6 monster with 500 defense from your hand or graveyard face up to your field. This turn, level 7 or higher monsters cannot declare an attack. So you can probably already tell immediately that where the very powerful effect comes from. To be able to summon any XQD from your hand or graveyard or any level 6 monster 500 defense, you can basically bring out any specific monster for that very needed situation to out whatever your opponent has on their board. Which is a very powerful card. Limiting it down to 1 means that your opponent has less recovery options for XQD and majority of their plays, which means that you can probably break their boards a little bit more consistently, and they have a lighter chance of rebuilding them without drawing into more of their starters. Now up next is a more of a unusual hit that I don't think many of us really predicted. Dragon Roll the Sushi Fairy, a level 6 fairy with 1500 attack and 500 defense. You can probably understand the situation already. Requirement: during the turn this card was normal summoned, you can place one fairy type monster from your graveyard to the bottom of the deck, draw one card, then level 6 or lower monsters cannot attack this turn. So immediately you can already tell this is definitely because of XQD. The entire play behind this was stack Lumiere to the bottom of the deck, that being the primary starter, removal, and arguably one of the better, stronger cards in the deck, and then draw a card for a resource, be it back row, and whatever else. Though this was on the lower end of the tech cards used for XQD, it was definitely not something to be trifled with. It helped support the more control-esque versions of the deck, though granted they were all very much control and somewhat combo based. Though at the end of the day, this is very much a big shock because not really many people played Dragon Roll, though it was fairly popular at first, and a little bit of it was played later down the line, though there are much significantly better engines, be it like the Pure variant, the Goblins, or just insects as well, significantly better. Though if Konami believes that this is going to be the primary way to hit XQD, then so be it. If XQD still roams around, does more, maybe we might be able to get it back off the ban list for any of you Sushi Fairy fans out there. Though this is still a very weird hit, it's willing to see how this will go for the deck. Whoa, oh, yeah, nobody suspected otherwise. The barrier statue of Inferno, one of the most notoriously hated, it is a very hated card. Boy, we love floodgates. So there is multiple reasons to go about saying why this card was hit in comparison to most other of the deck. So first off, barrier statue, it's a floodgate. Everyone already assumed on release that this card was going to be broken. It wasn't, but then as XQD became more popular, it started to become a much more relevant meta staple in stopping XQDs from doing all their combos. But not only that, because since every single person, including XQD players, were playing it, no other decks, including special summons, could do anything. So that would essentially mean if you're not playing a, what a main case is, if you're not playing a Fire Fusion or Maximum deck, you were just not playing your deck. Barrier Statue in the Inferno is just a very powerful card, locking you out of all special summons besides fire monsters. And it being a level 4 Pyro, it's heavily supported, but at the same time, Konami's only limiting this card because they want to sell the newly printed Vanity's Fiend, which is, I believe, already been released in Legends Awakening. Though this card going to 1, a lot of people are going to be happy about this, though most would say they would rather see this card banned. I'm personally happy with it because if it's just a 1-of, then that means you can be even more upset when your opponent in their opening hands draw their 1 copy of Barrier Statue. You just need to kill it once. Your opponent won't be able to just repeatedly normal summon it every single turn for the next 3 turns. Though this is definitely something that we all wanted to see on this list, though most of us forgot to mention it because none of us thought about Barrier Statue. So lastly, for our limited section is Magical Stone Excavation. A normal spell card with the effect, send 2 cards from your hand to the grave, add 1 spell card back from your graveyard to your hand. Once again, this seems a little bit late to the game, especially since the last ban list did actually limit the spell card Secret Order. But apparently Konami still felt like it was much needed to hit this card as well. Magical Stone Excavation, people all have their individual reasons for disliking this card. It's just a very powerful card. Even in Master Rule in a very long time ago, in a time long ago, which I honestly could not pinpoint for you, adding back any spell card from a graveyard to your hand is extremely powerful, especially in Rush Duel when you have a lot of expendable resources to get back cards, and mix this card up with Parallel Birthgate, or if you've seen the new Maximum cards, you can play Super Electromagnetic. It is just an extremely powerful card. Retrieving any normal spell card, or just any spell card in general from a graveyard, is a very powerful effect. The fact that they waited this long to finally limit it is kind of surprising that they could have just done a last list if they really just want to hit the nail on the head for Parallel Order, which arguably was already dead. This is still a card that definitely needed to be limited for now until we figure out more ways to just casually ignore this in this draw 5 sort of format. And here we are, the very last card of the new limited list. And this is actually our first semi-limited card of all of Rush Duel, which is Progress Potter. To nobody's surprise, that this card was actually hit. So Progress Potter is a level 3 Wind Psychic with 1300 attack, 200 defense. It's a cat card, turret, gotta love it. The effect, shuffle 5 monsters from your graveyard in a deck, shuffle 2 cards from your opponent's graveyard in a deck, then you can draw cards equal to the number of Progress Potter and Pot of Avarice in your graveyard. The Progress Potter engine has been continuously just an extremely, very much powerful combo. So basically you would have just 3 copies of Progress Potter, and some decks did play a copy of Pot of Avarice, but majority of the time you were just playing 3 Progress Potter, and it gave you essentially an infinite number, or just an unlimited deck size. You would never run out of cards, and it had the opportunity to at least draw you 1 card every single turn. If you're playing Pot of Avarice, it would act as a Pot of Avarice, and it would draw you 2 cards. So it was a very high amount of resources, and it would basically make the grind game infinite, considering that you were not required to shuffle cards from your opponent's graveyard in the back of the deck, and you can just get back as many cards as you want. So it being semi-limited is, I will give this as the best example as I can, because this does actually seem reasonable at 2, comparatively to 1, to Destiny Hero Malicious. So the reason I would say like this card belongs at 2 copies is because that way you're not playing 3 copies of it, and if you happen to mill the second copy, that's it. Having it at 2 copies means that you only have 1 copy that can be engraved, and then you have to have the other copy in your hand, and then it's basically forcing you to play Pot of Avarice as your 3rd copy of either, drawing the extra card or having a bit of insurance, showing that you can at least get back both or one of your potters that are engraved. So I feel like this card is definitely going to be something that has to stay semi-limited. If it would have been limited, this card entirely would have been just thrown out. No one would play this card limited. It is only playable semi-limited, and I feel like this is the place that it probably should stay at, because it is a very powerful loop card. It just makes grind games incredibly long. Like, if you ever seen like a turn 40 game, I'm looking at huge beast versus chairs. I hate, that was a terrible matchup. It is an incredibly powerful card, a great resource grind. So let's just hope it stays at 2. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed. I did actually post a image of the new ban list down in the community section of my YouTube channel. If you want to go see it, it is basically this video, except just an image. But I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope you all are very excited to be seeing this new ban list. If you want me to continue doing these sort of update videos, go ahead and say down in the comments, like the video, or just simply view the video, and I'll consider it. Once again, I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope to see you all